Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Winthrop Public School Committee meeting on Monday, June 19th at 6 p.m. in the Harvey Hearing Room at Town Hall. Ms. Hames, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Vecchia?
Present.
Mr. Capabianco?
Present.
Dr. Callis? Here. Mr. Holden?
Yes.
Mr. Sanford?
Here.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes. This meeting will be recorded and may be televised live. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Good job. It's the loudest I
We
ever
have
heard that.
several-
Me too. That's the loudest I've ever heard the
I know,
pledge.
we have to have a chorus every week for that. Thank you for joining us this week. We have several delegates and visitors here tonight. Some of them are former school committee members who are here tonight because we have Superintendent Macero's last school committee meeting with the Winthrop Public Schools, and he's all ready to give out the awards for the drama students. But first we're going to give Mr. Macero a citation for his service to the town, and that reads, a resolution whereas John Macero has completed 6 years of service to the students of Winthrop, and whereas John Macero has been a devoted and loyal friend and colleague, and whereas John Macero has had a strong positive impact on scores of Winthrop students through his display of genuine concern for young people, therefore be it resolved that the school committee of the town of Winthrop expresses its sincerest gratitude, congratulations, and best wishes, and that it is voted and made part of the official minutes of the Winthrop School Committee on June 19th, 2017. I'd like to make a motion to accept this citation for Superintendent Macero.
Second.
Second by Mr. Vecchia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Macero.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
If we could get a picture with the school committee, Mr. Macero, and any former school committee.
To invite Mr. Macero, Superintendent Macero, if he's free tomorrow night, to our council meeting. We'd like to also recognize you for all your hard work. So, unless you have dinner plans or something like that.
I'm all Winthrop this week.
There we go.
All Winthrop.
Well, I know we have our middle school drama students here, and to give awards to as well. But I wanted to do that first because I didn't want the middle school students to leave, because I think that of all the people that should be sort of recognizing you tonight, it would be the students. So.
Thank you.
So next, you want to introduce our Middle School Drama Society?
I do, and so it's only fitting that on my last evening we would have a drama department here, so it's perfect. But what I would like to do for a second is, as you all know, that the Winthrop Middle School this past year, the drama with the production called Dear Me, received gold at the Drama State Festival. And this is the second year in a row of gold. And so what I'd like to do is, third year in a row, I'm sorry there, Miss. What I would like to do is introduce you to the director, Miss Brittany Daly, and let her just say a few words about what this competition is about. And then the school committee has certificates of achievement that we'd like to present to the students tonight here for earning their gold medal. So, Brittany,
Yeah.
here, take a seat here.
So we took on an added challenge this year. The Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild is an annual festival for middle schools. Various schools come together. We each present a 40-minute or less straight play. The kids get the opportunity to be adjudicated by theater professionals. We receive feedback, medals, awards, recognition, but it's also a chance for them to get to meet colleagues at other schools and see the work other kids are doing. This year we chose to host the festival, so we took on that challenge. It's our first year hosting. And then I challenged the kids to write their own play. So Dear Me was kind of a double achievement, because not only did we receive a gold for their acting and their technical work, but we also received a gold for a piece that was written 100% by 6th through 8th graders, which I think is a pretty marvelous achievement. We actually received a lot of compliments. A lot of directors have asked me to try to get it published. So I told the kids that's my goal because they would like to perform it in their own schools. So the kids really stepped up this year and challenged themselves.
Very good.
Thank you.
So at this time, what I would like to do, tonight, we're not, the 8th graders we will honor tomorrow because they are at their moving on dance. Unless we have some 8th graders here. We do.
Yes, I did.
You did, great. And then so the other good thing is when I announce your name, you're gonna come up, I'll hand you the certificate. We'll have Brittany here, and then you're just gonna kind of come, like you saw how I did it? Shook hands, went right down the line, and then go back to your seat. You guys are drama students, you figured that out. Stage, you're in good shape. So, the first person would be Emma Forsythe. Congratulations, Emma.
Congratulations.
Daniel Tracy. Jenny Hickey.
Good job.
Thank you.
Janessa Watkins.
Congratulations.
J.D. Parker.
Congratulations, Jenny.
Chelsea Thompson. Angela Epifania. Sorry, Angelo. Here you go. Zoe Long. You got upstage.
I see how it is.
Rachel Romano.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Maya Green. Maya Green, thank you. As an actor or a performer, you always want to make sure they say it right. Michael Callanan.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
This young man is moving on tomorrow, Max Correa. Improvised drama will be waiting for you, my friend.
Congratulations, Matt.
Good job.
Oh, you are, he's already cast in Rock of Ages.
And he's my neighbor.
There you go. There you go. Tino's all set. Maddie Polino. Maddie Tolliver.
Congratulations.
Kaylin Barry. Joel Johnson. Jessica Soares. Jess Boudreau. Jenny Delahanty. Once again, good job. Ivy Crespa. There you go. Ella English. Evan Bernstein.
Congratulations.
Declan Donovan. Christian Bonaparte. Might know somebody on that school committee? You think so? All right.
Congratulations.
Bruna
Great job.
Oliveira. I like your shirt, perfect shirt for tonight, huh? Ben Zicella.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ben. Audrey Ballas. And Aiden Hannafin.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Good job.
If you didn't see, I hope, is there anybody that we missed? Okay, great. So if you didn't see the play, you missed something very special. What was wonderful about it was how basically the storyline, you guys can sit down, relax for a second. Because I'm going to talk for an hour, no. The storyline evolves around them writing notes to them when they were younger. So it's kind of a, they write a letter in the mailbox. It's kind of like telling themselves, if they were looking in a mirror, basically reflecting of what they should have told them. And it was excellent. And I'm looking at some of these students now in here who really portrayed some phenomenal characters that brought it alive. And it wasn't just comedy in here. There was a lot of heavy material too, and I remember Declan doing some great heavy material in that show. So I was really pleased. And there was a few students here that also received individual awards that day. What they call an All-Star Award. And then, of course, we recognized at the last meeting our 4 students that were nominated for the METG from Shrek. So it's been a great year, and to see that you had 3 years in a row, I'm really proud of that. And the thing that I'm most proud of is that Brittany was my student for drama years ago in the high school, in Saugus. And so it's kind of come full circle, and to see you guys accomplish the goals that you're accomplishing, and knowing that that theater and the black box that we put together over there for you is getting complete usage. So for those of you this weekend who are in Lion King, break a leg. For those of you who are going to take a nice restful summer break this summer, enjoy yourselves and keep performing. Okay, keep doing drama as you get up into the middle school next year and beyond for high school. Thank you.
You want to recess to let them go?
Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute recess. All right, let's return to the meeting. Next on the agenda, we have correspondence. We have a letter from Superintendent Macero. First and foremost, I would like to thank each and every one of for your service for the Winthrop Public Schools. Serving as a school committee member is a difficult task. However, each of you have strong passions that will enable our students to have a prosperous future. The main reason for my letter is for all of you to consider the following names to our future Miller Field track and stadium project. I understand there's a naming moratorium for a year, and I certainly respect that decision, but when that period ends, I would ask you to consider the following. And Mr. Macero goes on to offer some excellent recommendations for naming of specific areas of Miller Field, not to change the name of Miller Field per se, but to name different areas of the field. And I think that when the moratorium is over, there will probably be tremendous support for most of your recommendations. At this time, there is a moratorium, I think, until we said for about a year, which is, we're probably coming up on our year date of that. And so I think all of these recommendations can be addressed at a later date. So thank you for that. We are down to public comments. Is there any public comment tonight? Yep. Ms. Osborne?
Hi, yes, I just wanted to wish Mr. Macero well. I've worked with him in his different capacities in the town for a while, and I was reminding him when we got up to have a picture taken that he got sworn in this very room 6 years ago, so it's come full circle. And stone him, stain is our loss, or reverse, and look forward to the future here. And the good part is that you're still part of the community. Thank you, Mr. Macero.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment tonight? Students sound like they're having a good time in the parking lot.
They're half a day away from being out for the summer.
Yeah.
So.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we're going to move on to the minutes. The minutes from June 5th, 2017 and June 7th, 2017. Both minutes are in our packet for review. Is there a motion to approve together?
So moved.
By Mr. Vecchia. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Callis. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So, abstentions. Thank you. Next, we're down to financials. We have warrants. SVW 17-22 in the amount of $216,774.26. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Perrin. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. We have two payroll warrants, May 17th, 2017, in the amount of $890,094.48. Payroll warrant, May 31st, 2017, in the amount of $723,632.96. I'm a little distracted. Motion to take them both together.
Motion.
By Dr. Callis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by President Sanford. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Next.
There are no budget transfers.
Yeah, I didn't see
tonight.
any budget transfers. How are we doing with our end of the year finishing up? We can talk about that next.
Roland, right?
Excuse me, I'm
Is
sorry.
we didn't notice there's no budget transfers.
Not
How are we
this
doing with the end of the year?
Yes.
Closing things down. Coming next meeting.
It's just easy for them to just do the
I have to
the
wait till I
next meeting.
post everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We received a letter and a very nice donation from the Viking Pride Foundation in the amount of $42,000. I'd like to read the letter if that's all right, if nobody objects. This is from Viking Pride to Mr. Macero, Mrs. Howard, Mr. McKenna, and the school committee and town council members. The Viking Pride Foundation Board of Directors is pleased to announce a donation of over $42,000 in the form of athletic uniforms, transportation initiative, tutoring program, and other donations. We are proud to support our shared goal of quality co-curricular activities in the Winthrop Public Schools. The breakdown of donations is as follows: $8,000 to the school bus transportation initiative, $17,280 for athletic equipment requests, $10,000 for continued support for the co-curricular tutoring program, and $5,500 for a scoreboard at Veterans Field. The Viking Pride Foundation Board has had a very successful mailing donation drive, and we are currently selling Miller Field bleacher blocks, which are close to sold out. We are looking forward to distributing these proceeds back to the students and teachers of the Winthrop School Department with a variety of initiatives next year. Signed, Vinnie Crossman, the chairperson of the Viking Pride Foundation, Carolyn Gagnon, vice chair, Vasily Maliolis, treasurer, Angela Vigliata, Christos Siotis, James Fabiano, Shannon Poulis, Bob Deeb, Kelly Parker, Mark D'Ambrosio. And I'd just like to say thank you to the Viking Pride Foundation and everybody for their efforts and their continued support to the Winthrop Public School students.
Very nice.
We will need a motion for you to accept the gift.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept the donation?
So moved.
By Mr. Vecchia, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Can we just
By Vice
discuss,
Chair Perrin?
I just had one quick question.
Yep,
When
so-
we're going out to an RFP for the bus transportation, if we should find a cheaper alternative, how would
We
that
won't
affect?
accept the check. from them. That's what will happen. Because we don't normally get that check until probably sometime.
Later in the year.
Right, so, that'll have to be discussed as you move
What is
along on that.
exactly that?
That's that final, one of those checks is for that final bus payment, the 8,000.
okay.
So,
Okay, any other questions? So we have a motion to approve the donation by the Viking Pride Foundation and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, thank you. Tonight we have no buildings and grounds requests.
summer.
Summer. Anything to report on curriculum?
No, I don't have anything at this point.
And subcommittee reports, we had a budget subcommittee last week. Mr. Capabianco, are you prepared to report on that?
Yes, the budget subcommittee met on June 12th, I believe, at the middle school.
Yes, last Monday.
Yep, last Monday. We went over this form that Mr. Macero handed us here with our request, and in our request will include, I'll just read through the form, 6 kindergarten classrooms with an ESP in each room, transferred a K teacher to reading, not replacing that at this time. Grades 1 through 8 will have 7 sections, adding a 7th section in grades 3, 4, and 6, maintaining 7 sections in grades 1, 2, and 5, reducing grades 7 and 8 from 8 sections to 7 sections. We will hire that field maintenance person on April 1st, and restructure of our 4 CODIS positions into 2 OTR positions. Therefore, next year we will carry 4 OTRs total. In terms of reductions, we will reduce 1 administrative position. That person is retiring on July 27th. We will not be filling that position. And we have 1 custodian position as well. This also doesn't include a part-time business manager and a middle school health teacher.
And in regards also on that was the capital improvement.
Yep.
There was a approval for 106,000 or 102, it's one of those, 102, and these items below would be taken from their purchase, which is the grade 6 world history textbooks, world history student edition, digital courseware, the 6-year license, the AP chemistry, AP biology, physics, environmental science textbooks, and the possibility of the Algebra 2 textbooks. However, if we're going to pilot, we could look at that as well, different things.
Mr. Karen? Oh, sorry.
I don't know, are we discussing the budget at this point, or are we waiting for the next section?
you guys.
I mean, I feel
Wanna
like
do
we
it all
could.
together,
We
or?
can just do it. There was also a motion made in the budget subcommittee. Do you want to, Mr. Capabianco, state that?
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Yes, we made a motion that we approve this, what is it, 22,848,721,000?
With the recommendations, I just made the recommendations. The recommendations were that we would have 6 kindergarten classrooms with 6 ESPs. We would add the additional 5 teachers back to reduce the class sizes so that grades 1 through 8 sections would all have very low class sizes in the sense of 21 to 22. And then the maintenance going April 1st. And the restructure of the 4 CODA positions into 2 OTR positions. We've posted for 2 OTR positions currently. In my conversation with Ms. Howard, she'd like to also take a look at that, part of reevaluating some of that, whether or not we have to hire 2 additional or not, maybe not 2 additional. So, and I would defer to her because that's her expertise in that whole area. So I think it would be good for her to get that input in on that. But overall, that's what they made a motion to approve at the 3. And so it won't need a second, but obviously it's just been a motion for discussion. And then you can.
Right, so we have a motion for the full committee. Mr. Karen, for discussion, did you have a question or comment?
I just had 2 questions. The field maintenance position, we're talking about April 1st as the hire date. Have we defined that position yet? I mean, as much time, can we utilize that position for both the high school, middle school, and the field? Because I don't know if it's that new field, how many hours we're going to need in there.
Well, part of the field maintenance is not just on that particular field. There's also Veterans Field that needs work. And so one of the things that we've done, as you know, is with the consolidation, we've worked with DPW. And so DPW, we have $20,000 that we put towards athletic usage of fields. And so DPW takes that and they handle all of the current maintenance of making sure that the fields are prepared for the ball games when they have to play. But there is some groundwork that they have to also do. Now with the additional on the stadium, they want to make sure that there's also a person that would help, because currently, right now, they'll use one or two people that will come over. I think it's Wally that will work and line the fields when he's not at the rink and that time of year. So the answer to it is, have we written down the full job description? No. I think that would be some input that you'd want to take a look at, because originally when I wanted to put the position into place, I knew that the field wasn't going to be used, so I was going to utilize that person to help where we needed to do on the maintenance side. Right. However, at this point now, the money's there to bring them on for the last quarter.
Right.
That could change.
Right.
You could look at it at that point and say, you know what, maybe we don't even need to do it this year, maybe we're going to be okay.
Right.
And that would be the discussion more between the superintendent and probably Steve Cowan, and bring that back to you.
Because I'd like to see, if possible, look and see what the developer is saying, or the construction people are saying, the engineers, like what we're gonna need
Correct.
for hours. Because
Correct.
if it's 20 hours a week, then we can use that as a 20-hour a week additional custodial person for the high school, middle schools, and a short one.
And the reason we put it towards just that last quarter was because obviously the field will be done by, the field is projected to be done for the football finale on Thanksgiving. But then it'll be closed up until April.
Right.
And so, or March, sometime in March. And therefore,
It'll also be a construction zone,
correct,
because they'll be.
they're still doing the field house
Right.
together,
Right.
so.
But I mean, at some point, maybe we could talk to your committee about what the suggested number of maintenance hours are, so that we can utilize
Absolutely.
the remainder towards the high school, middle school shortage of custodial staff, so that we're not committing just that one
I agree.
position if we have not enough work in that
I mean,
spot.
to me, I look at that person as somebody that's basically going to be situated at the high school, middle school.
Right,
Because
that's-
they're that field, they're right there. I mean, years ago, as you may recall, the old Miller Field had a person full-time that
Any-
worked, that handled that whole field and all that. When that person retired, the committee and the leadership at that time restructured it all in a different direction. But with the amount of money we're putting in, we want to make sure that we have somebody that's got the ability to handle and know what's going on over there as well.
And I just had one more question. On the HR, I know we were talking about creating the HR position.
Right?
Is that in this budget?
So what's in the budget, so what we did I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Parent, because I meant to correct that on that. So originally, we were looking at bringing the HR person on full-time for just the schools. And so in this particular budget, moving forward, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep the HR person between the town and the school system, but we are going to put $18,000. So instead of $38,000, there's $18,000 that's going towards a benefits person that's going to help. So the town is hiring a benefit person that we and the schools in the town are sharing for that position. And so that's where that's at.
So that's an addition.
Right, but so that 20,000, originally we had booked 38,000 in for
Yeah.
that HR position. So I took 20,000 plus the 30,000, was able to put that back into the budget along with the 150 that the town allocated increased, along with the 100,000 for, that we had 200,000 budgeted under unemployment. So we took 100,000, put that back, which then gave us 300,000 to help us towards these expenses.
Who does the HR benefits now for the,
Currently, right now, it's the HR person herself. And apparently, it's just too overwhelming to try to do the benefits and do everything between the town and the schools. So that's the issue at hand.
I would just comment also that the budget that we have a motion to move forward here still right now doesn't include the medical careers in the child development program and a grant writer that we had agreed would be useful as well. So there is still positions that we're looking to fill when money becomes available.
A correction on it. The child development course is still in play. That's still in because we have the health teacher teaching one of those courses. It would be great to be able to tie that in with a medical careers type of person that we're looking at. That is still in play. We had written a letter to Massport. I have followed up with Mr. Vadalaro. Mr. Vadalaro it would probably be to our benefit if we could have some more pressure pushing to Massport from the town on that end. We did ask for $75,000. The reason for the $75,000, we believe, what we need to do as a district is we need to pull that position in as a teacher on our own and start to work it from that perspective. And then take that, if you were able to bring in a teacher at $50,000, then take that $25,000 and couple that with possibly another $25,000. There's a lot of things we could do at the high school that would benefit, because that would make that third guidance counselor and then another adjustment counselor. What that guidance counselor would be able to do is become the person who's going to orchestrate all of those outsourcing of our students into the local areas for medical careers, as well as the child course that we're talking about. We'd like to see our students in their junior year in both courses taking what the necessary requirement is and doing observations, but in their senior year, we'd like to have them actually doing internships. And when it comes to the preschools, we have plenty of preschools, not only within the school system, but around town. And when it comes to medical careers, we have plenty of those areas as well, so.
What was the budget that would have been for the grant writer? What was that position going to be funded for?
We never got there. We never budgeted for that.
So why couldn't we make it a stipend position, see what staff member or town member would be interested in that? 1 or 2 grants would pay for that position, give them an allowance if they want to go for training or courses, it would benefit them, it would benefit the school or the town, and just make it a stipend position for now, because we just lose money. I mean, there's money out there to be had, we just fail to bring someone on board to apply for it.
Yes, Mr. Perrin.
Along the same lines, I understand that the HR person will be inundated with some benefits issues, but I'd rather take that money and put it into a grant position or retain anything we're losing to the best of our ability. I think grants, they generate positions and they generate more opportunities. So I find it hard to create new positions when we're losing positions, even though it may help on some level. And I know that we're all overburdened and we're all doing more with less. So I mean, I would encourage everyone to think about moving that to a grant position, or, to be quite honest, trying to retain anything we've lost.
Well, I would say that the human resources position, the benefits position, I don't know what percentage that the school employs, of the town employees, the percentage that work for the school is probably 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the whole town employees. And I do think that that's an overwhelming position for one full-time person who, not only has to post jobs, interview, check qualifications, call for recommendations, but then also to be, answering phone calls of whether or not someone, is enrolled in dental insurance, or, all of that kind of customer service that goes along with human resources. So no doubt that position is required, and I would say that the school is probably using most of that human resource office time. I don't know if the town would be willing to pick it up this year and then talk about sharing it in the future, but I hear what you're saying, Mr. Perrin. We also could be using that same amount of money for a grant, for even the transportation for the internships is going to be a cost that we don't have budgeted in. So, I mean, certainly, could we use that $18,000 in our budget to find something more kind of directly impacting the students? Of course we could. But I also think that that office has been overburdened for a long time. And the school department has some responsibility to take care of that.
I would urge you to share that $18,000 this year. The reason I would urge you to do that is because that was all part of the great work that occurred down the end there of increasing our monies from this town to get more allocation over and all of that. And the town, the finance committee, the town council, the town manager, they looked at it from the perspective of, okay, well, we need to put some support and help into the HR area. And so if we both share that, because that is the one area of consolidation that really works. When I tell you, that really works because we know exactly what is being paid and what isn't. So I would say to you that I would, that I would urge you to keep that.
Because my concern was that we'd lose our HR person with the town if we decided to do something like this. So this is an addition to?
This is an addition to,
And
right?
18,000 is
And-
half of the full-time.
Right, so we were going,
Okay, all
right,
right.
so we pay right now, currently, we pay half towards the HR person, which is about 36,000. And then now we're gonna pay half towards the benefit person, which is about 18,000. So obviously, you can see the benefit person is probably a $36,000 full-time.
I was just going to say, with fringe benefits, that's not a lot of money. Is this going to be a
Right.
part-time?
I don't know how they're finalizing it, if it's part-time or full-time, but, right.
Yeah.
But,
So who's picking
Not
up the
with fringe.
fringe?
well, right now, the town is. I can tell you that.
In our original budget that we received from the superintendent, there was a full-time HR person for,
Right.
I don't remember how much was.
Well, it was, I had requested an additional
to have our
38,000
own
because it
one
would be.
full-time, yeah,
right.
so.
And so
if
I
you put that
I
back,
took 20,000
right.
out, put it back into the budget to make this whole puzzle work. It's a giant piece,
No, I-
puzzle right now. And so I'm just trying to get it so
See, I
that,
just want to make sure that we budgeted enough, if this is going to pass, that we're not swallowing fringe benefits on top of this, because it could really devastate our budget.
Mr. Perez?
So currently, positions that are split between town and school, the town pays all associated fringe for them. It goes somewhat to reporting structure, because technically split employees, it's not very well defined whether it's appointed by the school committee or the town council as far as the overall approval structure. So it's sort of been handled through the town manager and town council, so then the fringe benefits are paid on the town side.
And we don't get charged back for that.
Correct. There is not currently a chargeback.
It's good for me.
Yes, Mr. Capiano?
Yes, I just want to say at the beginning of this long process, we knew that this was going to be a very difficult budget cycle. And it was my goal to do what we can with this to help move our district forward. And since we worked so hard, the last school committee did to improve our teacher retention rates, that's the reason these increases went in. A budget that avoids as many layoffs as we can, and that's what this budget does. I think it's the most we come with, and I personally want to thank President Sanford, former President Driscoll, Mr. Macero, Mr. Perez, Mr. Vecchia, and Gus Martucci, I know was very involved with this, and I know that Ms. Howard also took a look at this. And if I left anyone else, I apologize, but I think this is as best we could do what we have, and I'd like to see that move forward as quickly as possible.
Any other comments on the motion? Questions, comments?
This is the motion to accept the budget.
So this is the motion to accept this figure here, the 22,848,721, with these recommendations from the superintendent of how the additional funds that the town council voted on at their last meeting to appropriate to us would be handled.
obviously, if this is approved, this budget gets posted, anything from that point on in the budget, if there was changes or anything, has to go through, transfer recommendations and stuff like that. But there is still some thing, and there's about, I think, $7,000 in the contingency, because certain things will grow as some people might leave, or certain things go through it. And in all honesty, Ms. Howard may have a different look at some of these items and be able to really take a different look on those things. But for now, the important thing is to make sure that when July comes, she's able to do payroll and post those positions on it.
Yes.
Real quick, I think someone out that I left someone out that I shouldn't have. Ms. Eccles, thank you for every email I send you with questions or ideas. You got it back to us right away, so thanks for everything you do.
Is there a motion to approve the budget?
Yes, the motion
There
came
is.
through in your meeting, that
In
meeting
the
that they
budget
had.
subcommittee.
Okay.
Yeah. So unless there's more discussion, we are ready to take a vote. So seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
benefits.
We also had a Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee meeting this afternoon. Mr. Becker, are you able to report tonight?
Sure. Real quickly, we did have a meeting this afternoon with Buildings and Grounds, Don, Brian, myself, the superintendent, and the public facilities manager, Rich Safuni, was present. Rich gave us an overview of exactly what's gone on over the last year. As you recall, a year ago, we entered into agreement with the custodians as far as the supervision and how this whole process was going to work in terms of cleaning the schools. And, they've broken out their areas of responsibility. They've got their checklist, and Rich reports that it's going very, very well. We haven't received too many complaints. If there are complaints, they're filtered correctly where they should go so they could be rectified. Each school has a head custodian, which is in charge, obviously, of his people. In addition, the principal within the building is also responsible for, contacting in case there's any problems and so forth. So it seems to be working very well. That's on that area. As far as the new school maintenance plan, again, that's something that was implemented as a result of the new school, a computer program whereby everything is automatically reported. It comes up on the screen relative to whether a filter has to be changed on some type of equipment and so forth. It's working very well. This year, everything is under warranty within the new school, so it's kind of a no-brainer. Things are working real well. But they're also trying to incorporate a program with some of the buildings that we've had some problems with relative to heating and air conditioning and so forth. So, again, that seems to be going well. That's basically it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vecchio. There was a wellness committee meeting on June 13th, 2017. In attendance was myself, Tara Bowie, the middle school nurse, Ian Kay from Aramark, Susan McGuire from the Department of Public Health, Sarah Rosenstein, the adjustment counselor at Gorham Fort Banks. We have our, later in this meeting, but we might as well talk about it now, our wellness policy that we have up tonight for approval, hopefully. And what we did was we wanted to make this a very functional policy where each school really knew what it meant and how it would impact the classrooms and any activities that the classrooms or PTO might be planning. The CDC has actually great publications. One is called Tips for Teachers, one is called the Fundraiser Face Sheet, and one is called the USDA Smart Snacks. And so there will be printed copies of each of these available at every school. And they just really outline like what are smart snacks in school, what are the guidelines, so there's no guesswork. And it's a little bit more relaxed than we might think. It's, pizza is okay. It's not like considered a non-item, so there are things. And Mr. K from Aramark was saying that there's even like some brownies that are okay, so it's not like a, anti-bake sale, anti-junk food. It's just that they want there to be whole grains in the food and so on and so forth.
Peanut butter cookies?
It's not in front of me, but I'll check. But things that, Tara Bowie also did an excellent job, just shout out to her, making a list of nut-free, healthy snacks that are compliant with the smart snacks in school nutrition standards that will be sent home. We've had one for years. I don't know if anyone has ever seen it, the list of nut-free snacks that goes home, and it's actually, it had some improvements that were made, and Mrs. Bowie did a great job putting a lot more healthy choices on that list. So that'll be coming out in September. We'll also be posted on the website. Ian K from Aramark had some other great ideas about how to, for children that are very choosy in their foods. There's things that he's doing at other schools called action stations where they're actually making food in front of the kids. They have a harvest of the month where it's like kind of a big deal. Each month they have a new snack that they might try. They have some rules at the middle and high school that they have to buy a meal before they start buying snacks. And let's see what else. there were some questions about, that came up at the meeting, and I didn't exactly have the answer. I wonder if you do, Mr. Macero. Are the student athletes waived from physical education?
No.
I
They
didn't-
can try to get a waiver if they needed to, but under the DESE, everyone has to take phys ed now. At least one
That's what
quarter.
I thought,
of them.
yeah. And then, since Ian K. was asking, who does he send his lunch menus to for posting on the school website, and you sent me a name of the person who would be taking care of the school.
Yes.
What's his name, Osborne?
No, it is Jason Durkee.
Jason Durkee, sorry, okay. So that's sort of
He's now
the
on
new
your
person, now
website.
that Mr. DeMarco is retiring. He used to take care of maintaining all that information on the
Yes.
school district website. And then the substance use policy that we approved a few meetings ago, Susan McGuire from the Department of Public Health was asking if this is going to be sort of underneath the Wellness Committee in terms of how it's executed and how it's used functionally. And there was some discussion about the school nurses receiving training on the new assessment tool. There's a tier 1 and a tier 2 training that Meredith Hurley and Tara Bowie are scheduled to go
Right,
to. They have
yes.
not received the training yet, but they are scheduled to go.
Right, I
I
know I
think
signed
actually
up
one
on
was
it.
Friday, like
Right.
3 days ago. And another, it happens during the school year, like during the school day. So the difficulty for our nurses are that they don't necessarily have coverage to go to these mandatory trainings. So they were trying to get that done. And then just in general, how will the substance use policy from the school be integrated into the community? Say the director of Parks and Rec or a coach or someone in the community has a concern about a child. What's the sort of reporting structure? If it's after school hours, do they still go to the new superintendent, or do they, so what's kind of the structure? So Mrs. McGuire, I think, is working with the Department of Public Health and wanting to know, when does CASA get involved? When is it a school? So there's just some kind of logistics, I think, that she was asking about. We didn't have all the answers at this meeting, but I think that there's work to be done on that issue. Any questions?
I think that we had made that a priority, even with the superintendent. We had talked about having some type of a program. And it was very difficult to integrate that type of a program into the curriculum because of time restraints. But I think, it's very, very important. It was interesting that there was a grant available. I saw it on my email the other day, and I was going to send it out. I think everybody got it, as a matter of fact, because it came through the town email. And it's a grant that's available to the schools now, and I guess it's through the GE Foundation. They got like a $2 million grant, and the recommendation is for this to start as early as the middle school. So I really need, we really need to keep on top of it and make sure that it's part of our priority for the kids.
Right. So it definitely is, on like front and center of the wellness committee, what we're talking about now that this, sort of nutrition and physical activity part is wrapped up. But I know that Susan McGuire would like to kind of spearhead it and would like to look for other community leaders who are, really ready to sit down and talk about what is the structure of how a child is taken care of, or, a student or a member of the community is taken care of, and, whether it's preventative resources or someone who's truly at risk or worse than at risk. So
If I may,
Yeah.
we met last Wednesday, or one of the days, with the CASA and the Wellness Week type of committee of what's going on at the high school and the middle school. And Tara Bowie was there, as well as Meredith. And one of the things that I talked to them about was, now, because you had just had your meeting, so I think it was the next day after your meeting. And I think it's important that they're the liaisons to you folks about what's going on there as well. CASA's main concern is that there's no money. And I said, well, that shouldn't be an issue on our end, because our job is to make sure that we're still providing all of these events, and we can utilize CASA where needed for, a lot of the substance abuse and bringing folks in to speak. The committee next year is looking, the group is looking to make sure that they don't do a wellness week primarily. It's going to be more throughout the year in a quarterly basis. And then in the last quarter, they'll do a couple of bigger events that will work best for us. police chief was there as well in attendance, who was very adamant about helping where needed, and he does have a grant that does help that type of thing and wants to know what the funding is that we would need or to try to get speakers. And one of the other areas that we talked about too was bringing back the DA's office, as we have been bringing in Jackie Lamont.
She's great.
But what we want to do with Jackie is we want to set it up during the days so that parents have an opportunity to either come at 9 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, or in the evening. So therefore, there's nobody that can miss it. And we can have those discussions, because when we go and book something for 7 o'clock at night, you're alienating a lot of people. But if you have multiple times during the day. And so the other thing that we did is we've already started the schedules for the 3 schools next year to book her to come in and start those processes going. So,
Directly with the students or for
with
parents?
students and parents.
Yeah.
Because while she's here, we might as well utilize her
Yeah.
for that. And that would go for anything else that we did, whether it's another
Yeah.
speaker or
And
those
I
opportunities.
think the other downside to Wellness Week is it's only a week, and it's only at the high school, so we need
Correct.
stuff for all
Correct.
12th graders.
So we talked about it with the Cumming School. The Cumming School does their Kindness Week. They do a lot of activities there, and we wanted to make sure that we jump on some of those areas that they do. They bring in speakers, and one of the best things that they do is they bring in high school captains of organizations from the high school, and the kids look up to them, so it really went well. And the middle school wants to get more involved, and that's why we have Ms. Bowie connected to it as well. I think what's happened in the past is we've allowed, and it's I'm not putting blame on anything, but sometimes when an outside source comes in, they don't understand what we have to do as the education. And so what I've talked to Mr. Crombie and Mr. Curley about is, you need to own it and then utilize who's going to do what you need to do. And you reach out to CASA and say, can you give us this? And you reach out to that one, can you give us that? And then there's no more issues on it. So that's why we've been meeting regularly the last couple of months to get that set for next year.
If I may just piggyback on the superintendent, he's absolutely correct. If you go to CASA, it's not that you want them to run something for you, but they have so many resources. If it's education, they have a resource. If it's getting the kids involved in some type of a program, it's there. If you have an incident where a parent calls up and says, what do? I found out X, Y, and Z about my kid. They have resources through the police department on how to address it properly, confidentially, and so forth. So again, I would agree with the superintendent. Go to CASA and use them for resources to direct where we want to go as a school system.
Ms. Perrin?
So 2 things. The wellness policy, very well written. I just want to make sure a couple of things. 1, it's dovetailing with currently what we're doing, which it does. 2, our vendor, Aramark, are they actually now complying with it? And is there going to be any issue or cost with going
I
forward?
believe they've always been.
They've always been compliant
with this-
federally, 'cause they're funded.
Yeah, and and Ian really assisted us with, what are the guidelines.
That's- And then my last comment is, we really have to put like a tickler into this, because there's certain dates we have to hit in this, because it is important that we
Yes,
review it and go
It has to be
forward.
reviewed annually and then.
And every 3 years.
Like every 3 years again. So
Correct.
you're exactly right, and I think, we have to do a much better job at knowing, like, okay,
This
so
is
this is
coming.
gonna be reviewed in 2020 and 2023 and and annually, but
I mean, there's software you could buy for
Yeah.
that, but you could also use a Google Calendar or something.
Yeah.
But I guess, I just think sometimes our policies get lost in the shuffle, and then we go back and look at them, and our review dates
yeah.
just aren't there. So going forward, whoever the policy committee is really needs to have a tickler system in place to remind us to review these, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, we're not complying with it, we're not even complying with our own policies.
Yeah, well, this is a brand new policy, so as long as we adopt it before the 30th, we're in compliance. But going forward, we do know that we have a huge binder of policies that, we tend to look at when there's an event, and then we say, oh, does our policy cover this event? And then a new policy comes out.
The other thing that we looked at, and I think that's important, is that in regards to the whole wellness weeks or how we're doing those things, is that sometimes if you don't have somebody that is the point person,
Right.
then that creates the issue. And so CASA took on that role. But CASA shouldn't be taking on that role for us.
Right.
So we need to make sure that we have a point person within each school that
Yes.
handles that. And to me, the best point persons on those right now is our current nurses.
Right.
Obviously, that's, there'll be some discussion as you move along through that, but I don't think they mind, but if it's going to be a longer time, obviously, there's other things that come into play on that. However, they are the perfect people to take a look at that.
Yeah, I don't think they mind either from my work on the committee. I also think, this outlines that we also need a wellness liaison in each school.
Correct.
So it could be an adjustment counselor and a nurse.
Right.
There could be two. And in the upper grades, we're actually recommending that a student be a wellness liaison. Whether it's an honor student or a student council. That's what.
Right.
And lastly, from the Wellness Committee, it seems as though there still would be a need for a mental health clinic in the high school. Originally, when the high school was being built, there was discussion, if people remember, of having just a clinic, a health clinic there. And at this point, it seems like the nurses are recommending that we still pursue a mental health clinic. If all we can do is a mental health clinic, then we should at least pursue that. So that could be something on the horizon, hopefully. So that's it, Mr. Perrin?
Can I make a motion that we accept, not that we even have to have a motion, I make a motion we waive the second reading and put it,
Adopt the policy.
yeah.
So, Mr. Perrin's recommending we waive the second reading and adopt the new wellness policy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Capianco. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. All right. We are down to superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. So there's been a lot of talk about trying to do an RFP for the buses, transportation. So, and I've told you that we've been working on it and doing it, and I'm not lying, we are doing it and getting it done. I have proof for you tonight that we do have the packet up and running. And so what you will see, I'm going to give each one of you one of these, is you'll see the highlighted areas. That's because that has to be taken by Monica, who just puts in the correct dates. And then that ships off, and we are completed on it. What's happened is the RFP that we had in the past was one of those RFPs that was a PDF file, and then, trying to get that done on top of everything else, but wanted to make sure that we did complete it and get it done and get everything set so that we can get some return back.
And put it to bed.
Right.
Once it's-
So here, I'll just pass this over so you can pass this down so that everybody can see where we're at on it. But basically, we're pretty much finalized. We just have to give it to Monica now and have her do change the dates and make sure that legally everything is in there properly that needs to be asked. We've put in the bus schedules, we've put in what our needs are, we've put in what the athletic runs would be, any other specific runs that we have. All of those items are there. I don't know if you want to hit upon
Yeah,
anything else.
The PDF that I finally found was from 2009, 2010. So I have updated as much as I can. I need Monica, still has to go through the whole thing. I have a couple of other people looking at it also, just to make sure, because there might be things in there that aren't relative to this time. So, so once they look at it, we can get out to bid. We kind of were working on the CAF RFP. We had to put that out to bid because it's been 5 years, and that was kind of more, I have to have that for July. This one is until September. So that was my fault. It took so long. So this one.
I mean, I feel like the end date is August 27th, so this is,
Those
Yeah,
dates,
so those dates have to be changed.
so those are going to be changed.
Those are the old
Okay.
dates on the other old RFP.
Monica needs-
But Monica
Everything
will
in
take
yellow
care of
has to be
that.
changed.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
I can get that
So if
done.
anybody reads through it and sees something that they think might need to
Okay.
be changed, just let me know.
Thank you.
So, a couple of other things. First of all, I just want, the end of the year has come upon us. Tomorrow's the last day of school for the 3 schools, high school, middle school, and the Arthur T. Cummings. Right, not the Fort Banks. The Fort Banks is on Wednesday. Both student days are half days for the schools. But before you know it, it'll be September again, and people will be back up. However, our schools are being very heavily used over the summer. We have quite a bit of programs. We have our special ed programs both at the Arthur T. Cummings and the William P. Gorman School. We also have Camp Fort that's going to be happening at the William P. Gorman School. We have a STEM camp that's going to be happening at the Cummings School. And along with 21st Century and multiple different programs that are happening. So on top of that, we will be beginning to plan on getting the buildings cleaned and getting them up to par for the following school year. With that said, I have begun this past week, Lisa and I met. We began some transitional work on going through, we talked about the budget, we've talked about various things on what she needs to prepare. I've tried to make sure that she's up to date on other areas that she needs to be up to date on for July and as we move through the school year. Now, I'm still right here, so she will be able to touch base with me on anything that she has any questions on. If there's any legal matters or any particular things, I've been involved in those and I will continue to stay involved as long as I'm needed on that. But I'm looking forward to working with Lisa. Lisa and I had a great relationship when we worked together as the superintendent and assistant superintendent. I will tell you, you're in good hands. I think she's going to do a marvelous job representing Windsor Public Schools. And, I wish her the best of luck as well with all of you. And, so I just wanted to make sure I brought that up. I also wanted to take a moment here to say a few thank yous. One person that I would really like to thank who is in the audience, but her partner's not here, is Barbara Flavin with Karen Chavez. Karen Chavez has been instrumental in my 6 years here as the superintendent. Karen not only has kept me on my feet, making sure that I get everything, right there, but those are the kind of people that you could either at the very beginning turn around and say, oh, what's that about? Or let's embrace it. And one of the best decisions I ever did was working with Karen and Barbara and embracing and working together, because behind the scenes, they have done so much for our kids that you will never, ever know. And of course, we have Mike Perez, who was extremely instrumental, as well as Susan, on this budget. Mike worked, again, right behind those scenes to make sure I'd come to him. It's a tough job. The way we have this all broken down, it's not an easy position to be the chief financial officer in a community when your town manager is primarily your boss, and then your superintendent's tugging at you at what you need to do. But Michael really, he sticks to his own gun when he knows what works well, and he did a good job of really laying this out for us. And I think that moving forward, we are in good shape, better shape than we've ever been, with knowing how a budget's going to begin to that effect. And also, Susan has done, it's been Susan and I, it's the Susan and I team for so many years when it comes to the budget and how we've had to do it and what we've done, and we've learned by doing, and we've grown as we've come along, and we've seen things. But I think we got it right this year moving forward, Susan. I think we've realized some of those areas that need to be, and we're not taking some risks on other areas. And as difficult as a task and a job as it is for her, she handles it very well, and she protects this community of the school system so well for everybody here. And I appreciate all the great work you've done for us, and I'm going to miss you. And then, of course, I have to thank Patty Hames, because it's I said to Patty, I was joking today, Patty's a confidential secretary to the superintendent, so I can tell her anything and she can't tell anybody. I said, it's like having your own personal priest. You can just tell her everything, she can't say a word. But Patty Hames is worth her weight in gold to you. She's going to be great for Lisa, she's going to be great for whoever she works with. And here again, these are people, they're unsung heroes.
Don't try to steal them either.
No, I'm not. But the Beth Baileys, the Diane Abbotts, they're these people that work up in this office that you grow to have great relationships with on a day in and day out. That people don't know that we don't interact with kids on a lot of times. However, what they do behind the scenes does so much for the growth of our students. And so that's important. And then finally, I want to thank you folks, because I know I started off my letter, that was for other purposes, but I really mean that. You take on a position that the school committee is different from a town council. It's different from a selectman. It's different from any other position you can ever do, because the school committee actually hits at the strings of people, and it affects people, and they're going to come out at you, and sometimes you'll get people that are very happy, and sometimes they're going to get out angry because you're tugging at their strings with the decisions that you have to make. And you don't receive any compensation. You give of your own time, and you work hard for the community. And you all up here, I can tell you, have the best interest of the kids at heart, and certainly appreciate that. And you know, I will be back to make sure that I'm there for Mr. Holden, who served on this committee almost 12 years. And, you know, it's a long time to serve there. And I know that Mr. Sanford is now finishing his 12th year as well. And, you know, so you've given a lot to the community. And on behalf of the community, on behalf of Winthrop Public Schools, I thank you for that. And I look forward to coming home, watching the school committee meeting now, but more importantly, I look forward to being able to put my input when I can as a citizen, but enjoying my community. I've asked Town Council President, and I've asked Mary Lou Osborne if I could stay on the scholarship committee. I'll file on that to be a part of that. I would like to. Because there's a lot there that we've now established that's going forward, and I think it's important. But thank you everyone. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Do you want to go right into it?
I'll go right into, yes, we had a resignation from Natalie McManus, who is resigning her position as a speech teacher. You saw what she basically had said. She's enjoyed working as part of the Fort Banks team for over the past 5 years. And she's appreciative of her experiences, both personally and professionally. And she wishes the entire staff success in her future endeavors. And then we also had a resignation from Miss Sullivan, who was the high school chemistry teacher at Winthrop High School. I know for a fact she's going to teach at the Northeast Vocational. She lives in Saugus. Good move for her, and that's what she chose to do with that. We have a couple of things I just wanted to bring you up to speed. You will see a junior IT and a senior IT professional posting, and the reason we've done that is because currently right now we use Retrofit the town and the schools use Retrofit, and Retrofit handles all our upgrading of computers, and they're kind of our technical director. They do the forecasting for us and what we need to have, and we pay the fee for all of that work. But we also paid a fee to have 2 individuals working for us that would come. We were outsourcing that through Retrofit. Well, this year when we finally got to looking at those numbers of what we were paying on that, we realized we can do it in-house at a much better rate, and we believe we're going to give you a really good savings that's going to be helpful moving forward for you. And so what we've done is we've ended the IT support with Retro as of July, because we'll bring these people on. At the next meeting, the superintendent will be able to tell you who was appointed, because that's not ended yet. But that will help you, and when I say a savings, it's a significant savings. So, and then the other postings, we do have school psychologists, the occupational therapist. We did post. We posted the pre-K, the speech position that has left. The academic support teacher was a teacher. She went into a reading position, so we had to post that position. And then I believe, do we have a leave of absence? I don't believe we have any leave of absence. So, no. So that is the personnel report. Thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you. Under new business, we have approval of the revised 2017-2018 budget. We did that earlier this evening when we talked about the subcommittee reports. Under unfinished business, we had the adoption of the wellness policy, which we also did under subcommittee reports. We're down to public comment. Any public comment? Ms. Chavez?
Just a couple of things. First of all, I want to congratulate the school committee on your budget this year. Everything was met. A couple of things I was disappointed in, but you don't always get what you want. I do feel as though the middle school health teacher is very, very important. Being part of that site committee down there, I listen to Mr. Curley and what goes on down there. They do handle things very, very well, but to have a professional in there, I think, is going to make a lot of difference. I have no idea what that cost is, but I think it's something you should really start to think about. As far as capital improvement money, the Finance Commission was very strong in recommending that you get that money, but not wait for free cash. And I'm sure that was in the letter, to see if somehow the council would come up with another source, even if the bills actually go to the town, and the town pay it, and then the source, whatever the source is, can be reimbursed with free cash.
Right.
I guess that was my whole point of that. Now, tonight, I know the medical careers is on the fence, but is the early childhood education also on the fence?
No.
Oh, I misunderstood that. Graduation. My second granddaughter graduated this year. It was the first graduation I've been to since 1987. It was probably one of the most impressive ceremonies I've ever seen. The speakers were just so good, just wonderful. The holding twins were great. They were great.
Great speeches.
I already did send my thank yous to Mr. Crombie and Mr. Macero the day after graduation. And I just want to thank everybody from the whole Chavez family. We enjoyed it. There were 11 of us sitting in the front row. And when he started to announce the Facela scholarships, all we heard was Coastal. Our granddaughter's going to Coastal Carolina University. And all we heard was Coastal, well, 11 people screaming and crying all at the same time. It was just wonderful. And lastly, I guess, just goodbye, John.
Congratulations for your granddaughter on the scholarship. That's very nice. Thank you. Any other public comment? Right. Yes. Oh, I'm going to do that next. Yeah. Okay. Public relations. Mr. Vecchia.
Just thank you, John, and I'll see you around town. I'm sure you'll get involved with many other activities in town.
I'm sure I will.
Right. And also, thank you to Viking Pride for their generous donations.
Yes.
They continue to support the kids of Winthrop.
Yes, I meant to talk about them, you're right.
I just say thank you, Mr. Macero. I remember one of the first times we met, I was a student, and you were on the school committee. It was during one of the overrides.
That's right.
So I just want to thank you for your leadership and your friendship, and wish you the best of luck.
Two things. One, the Facela dedication I thought was phenomenal. I thought to have the two trustees actually speak and explain what their role and, why they're involved in this and their relationship with the donors, the Facelas. I just thought it was a great ceremony. I thought the lettering over the Learning Center was just amazing. Just a great time, and it was great to have all the students that had benefited from the scholarships there, and we're there telling them their own personal stories of how much it changed their lives and their ability to go to college. So I thought that was great. And again, John, I just wanted to wish you good luck. You were great to work with over the last 6 years, and we're going to miss you. But we have Lisa now, so come on, go.
Hey.
During the summer, we have always had a summer food service program that's open to all children to have free meals, ages 2 to 18. This summer, it will run from July 5th to August 14th at the middle school on 60 Payson Street and the old middle school at 151 Pauline Street, near the doors by Parks and Recreation. So that's in the back,
Yes.
right? They enter in the cafeteria from the back of the school. So they'll be at those two locations at 9 to 10 for breakfast and 12 to 1 for lunch. Previously, this program was at the Cummings School, and the Cummings School is just not available this year for that free lunch program, and it's available to all the kids. You do not need to meet any requirement or
Right.
fill out any paperwork to have access to that.
And I just want to thank Ian Kay. He worked really, really hard
Did.
to get these 2 sites approved by DESE. He had a hard time, so I just want to give him a
That's
thank you
great.
because he worked really hard for this.
Yep, I know, he's been great. I want to say happy summer to all the kids. I know the kids are dying for tomorrow at 12:30 or whatever time they get out, so.
Except for the foot bags.
Happy summer, and I know that,
No, they're kind of happy to be there.
I know that the students worked really hard this year. I think that many students had a great year, and that, thank you to the teachers and the leadership team for just accomplishing so much. I've seen it in my own daughter, and she's just had such an amazing year, and with the students in the new school, like, it just couldn't have been better. So happy summer, everyone. I think Thursday afternoon is the basketball court dedication.
Yes, Thursday
At
evening.
what time?
That's it, I believe it's at 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. at
That's the
the-
Chris Siotis court.
So the dedication for that will be
Yes.
6 p.m. on Thursday
Thought it
this
was
week.
7.
It may be 7,
Yeah.
but,
Oh.
okay, 7 o'clock,
Yeah.
so
But
7
if you're
o'clock.
this,
Sorry that I don't have all the details.
I'd rather have you there early than late.
And Ms. Macero, I don't know what to say. I just have had such pleasure working with you and learning from you. And I know that there are many things that you do that people don't even know. And you have been stretched very thin in this district with all the hats you need to wear and the fights you need to fight for our students and our families and our teachers. And just so you know, with much gratitude and appreciation, I have enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
And I will miss you.
Thank you.
he's everywhere.
Yes.
And I've been a John Macero groupie for years. He had my nieces in Saugus,
That's right.
followed him through Revere.
That's right.
We've done many things with the chamber and with the town, him and his wife for many years, been very good friends, very loyal. And I was a big supporter of John Macero, now of Lisa Howard. But John, you've done a great job and you're a good friend, so I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. I don't know if I would be on the school committee without you. Also, thanks to Viking Pride for all the effort that goes into helping to supplement our needs. And then also thanks to the leadership staff that organized the moving on ceremonies in addition to graduation. I really appreciate that the students rising up was marked in a nice way.
Well, first, Karen, congratulations to you with Megan. That was an awesome accomplishment. I love Megan. Awesome grandchild you have there. Good friend of my kids. And John, I've had 4 or 5 superintendents. You brought something to the community that normal superintendents don't bring. And you brought what was most important to kids. It's love, it's being cared for, and feeling safe. And all the other stuff, everyone else takes care of, but you brought that, and that is the foundation of education. You've had to deal with, like Tina said, overrides, Sandy Hook, floods, HVAC. You've had more tasks, maintaining 2 new buildings where the whole town was on top of you. Like, why are we not maintaining 2 new school buildings? You've opened up a massive middle school, high school. You've just done it all, and I'm getting goosebumps here. I'm going to miss you. We've sat together on the same side of the table and across from each other. But, and I mean this in the fondest way, I always tease you about Harold Hill. This town was so heavily sports weighted, and you brought drama, much like the Music Man brought music. And you brought drama back into the community and balanced it, and a good balance, with the arts and sports and extracurricular activities. But the town doesn't have a mayor. It doesn't have, you're the face of the town. The superintendent, Ms. Howard, is the face of the town. Whenever you see news crews, and they're not in front of town hall, they're always in front of one of the school buildings, and because
It's true.
it's true. It just, everything somehow surrounds the town, the schools, the children, parents of children, and you never complain once. You show up here and you just keep that professional, calm, caring, loving face on, and you do your job, and you've done it well. You are going to be missed, very well missed, although we're going to see you around town. But I don't know what else to say. Many people know you as Mr. Grinch,
Will you
But-
still be Mr. Grinch?
but you're still Harold Hill for me. You know? You did it. You brought music back to the town, and it's gonna miss you. Thank you.
Just a round of applause for Mr. Macero.
Now we get to go to a moving on dance.
See, you're everywhere.
Gotta get to that moving on.
First, have to have a motion to adjourn.
Oh, can I just say one thing? 'Cause
Yes.
I have to say, if anybody's not doing anything this weekend, come see The Lion King. You saw all those kids that are in it? They're in it. It's gonna be great, Friday and Saturday.
I might be busy.
You might be, you're welcome.
Motion by Mr. Vecchia, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bianco, all in favor say aye.
Aye.